Hello, everyone. Hi, George. Hi, Matt. Hi, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Thursday.
Yes.
Happy, as I call it, live stream day. It's not even Thursday to me anymore. It's just
no. Today is Chambray Day. You just didn't get the memo.
Yeah, you get the memo. Sorry, Megan.
I feel excluded. I feel like this is.
We are, however, very color coordinated. I'm just going to say that today. It's very nice.
I have a Chambray shirt right now. Like I could grab it if you want.
I think we're okay.
My blazer might be. I don't want to cramp your style.
It looks great.
Thank you. Guys, thank you so much for joining me this morning. And thank you, regular viewers, as always. And anyone who's watching us for the first time, welcome to our live stream. We are Valiant. We are a managed IT service provider in New York City, but we have a national reach. And if you want to learn more about us, Matt just put it up, but visit us at thevaliantway.com. To learn and you could also watch our previous episodes on our YouTube channel, and you can join in the conversation, comment on our YouTube, comment on our videos, comment on our LinkedIn. You can also follow us on Twitter at thevaliantway.com. And again, we love engagement. We love responding to comments and questions. Sometimes those questions generate a whole live stream or generate a topic. Like we right. Really love the feedback. So please engage with us if you have any thoughts or questions. So our episode today, something that when I was 23, my mother accused me of being too introspective, but I think she made fun of me for it. But in business, introspection, I think is very, very important. I think it's about looking at the reality of a situation and making the changes that are possible and the changes that are right for the business. So right. We're having an introspective episode. George, I know this topic means a lot to you.
Right.
Matt, you even said that this topic got generated because of something George said in a meeting.
Yeah, I actually had slightly different plans for today's stream, and George used the term introspective in a meeting, and it just kind of took everything in a new direction, and it took it in a better direction. You know, I think we actually got a little introspective about the streams lately, and we know that November is typically the month of the year where we talk about planning for the new fiscal year. And, we've got our IT budget spreadsheet that we make available for free. And we were talking about how to improve that and kind of really just started talking a little bit more about Valiant as a business over the past 5 years or so, and kind of went down a bit of a rabbit hole with that. But it's good because it leads to the kinds of things that we're going to talk about today and the importance for other businesses to do the same if they're trying to figure out where they are. So I'm gonna stop talking because George has got so much more on this.
I don't know about that, man. But really, the genesis of this was that we're preparing for as Matt said, we're preparing our 2022 planning, and part of it is you got to look back to look forward, right? And the idea is that you want to see, what do we do, what do we get done, what initiatives do we have? Look at your document, your kind of like your goals and documents that you started working on a year, 2, 3, 4, even 5 years ago. I'm a degenerate sort of Word documents that have these grandiose plans and that sort of thing, but trying to put some more discipline around it. And I think that if you just always look forward, you never kind of say, hey, do we accomplish what we set out to do? Is this still is the things that we set for ourselves as a company, both as a financial, service delivery, systems, people, culture, any of those things, are they still valid? Are our assumptions still valid? And I think that before you start putting things together, I think much like the tabletop, it's a very useful way to stop for a second and start going through and just make notes for yourself or look it through and give yourself that freedom to think about what you've been working on for any period of time. Because, if you're always in the moment, you're rushing and you're not really kind of thinking about it. Now, you gotta be really careful because as we were preparing the stream, I said that I can fall myself into a ruminator, and a ruminator is like almost an unwanted introspective thinking where you kind of circle around it over and over again, and you get yourself really upset, and and so you have to really put some parameters around introspection, I think, to be useful and make it part of your toolkit for planning, and for improvement of everything you do want to deliver, both in business and life, if you want to do it that way. So it's really important.
I think introspection is just about looking back, being honest with yourself, and then, but also like understanding you have to move forward. And I also am a ruminator as well, George. So I completely understand. It's
Yeah.
too much of a powerful tool sometimes. But so the team that's assembled here on the live stream, we are primarily concerned with sales, marketing, and I think that's what we kind of want to talk about today as far as introspection and business goes, right?
Sure. So yeah, I mean, I can I'll dive into as you know, I kind of span different parts of our company, but primarily one of the ones I work on quite a bit with Megan and Matt as well is in sales. And about 2+ years ago, we were looking at a really interesting product named Glue, and it was a sales enablement product for quoting and preparing of invoicing and all this sort of thing that makes this a better customer experience, both from a sales and also from us internally. And subsequently, Datto purchased it. Datto is one of our longtime partners. We've been working with them for many years with various systems and products they deliver. And really, oh, hey, Ryan, what's up? And
Ryan's like, I heard there was a cat on the show, so I'm
yeah, he jumped on it. So as we were like super gung ho about this in the beginning of the year. Actually, even 2020, we were talking about this, and really and what kind of brought it back to the top, and we hadn't implemented it. This to be full circle, full disclosure, I should say. We hadn't implemented it, and part of it not implementing it was that we just didn't have the time, or didn't make the time, or didn't prioritize it. So when we kind of reviewed, and so what kind of came out of it is we're preparing our 2022 planning, and this is one of our larger initiatives that we really want to get done because we think it has a really massive potential impact to our customer experience, which is really important to us. We really want our customers to have a place that they can easily review, discuss, place, and fulfill orders, be it hardware, software, licensing, managed services. We want to consolidate a single place, single view, so our customers can and for us as well. It's that speed to market thing, and also, Megan, I mean, how many different ways do we have to do to get a proposal out or get a proposal activated in our system? There's a lot of moving parts, and it feels like
I try to keep them all on different leashes.
Yeah, it has a Rube Goldberg-ness to it right now, and it works, right? It's important to say it works, but it's not optimal, and it's not a great experience for both us, our staff, and for our clients. So as we were preparing, and when we started reviewing, why didn't we implement this? Why was this? Because we've had some great growth this year. Obviously, the pandemic kind of caused us to really shift our focus, and primarily one of the biggest shifts in our focus was cybersecurity, out of necessity, not out of desire. Because of so many things that happened with that. Another place I think is important for us to kind of look back introspectively is our reliance on supply chains.
Right. I was even thinking about this as far as like the pandemic shaking everything up, and the things we took for granted in our economy and in our marketplace before the pandemic, we can't take for granted anymore. And the supply chain is like the biggest example of that. Right. And it's led us to have, I mean, George, you've been in all the like first sale meetings with me, but like very frank discussions with our prospects about just expectations and how we can still deliver a great service while also functioning in this world that these things that we used to just have can't. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it used to be you could order something on Tuesday, have it by Thursday, and install it by Friday.
Yeah.
And now, we've kind of almost gone back to almost like pre-internet times, but it feels like it feels like
shipping taking months is
like literally
an expected thing.
I saw this kind of like jokey meme of like order tracking, and it was like a cargo ship in the middle of like the harbor that here's your order, like here, and it's kind of true.
Well, it's true, and it's also hitting consumer electronics. I mean, we see it in the news. I think it was PlayStations or whatever have like a 6-week waiting list on orders right now. I think I saw in the news last week. I got myself 2 new hard drives on Amazon, but it took like a couple of days to really find something that would meet my needs. And then when I did, there were only 2 in stock, so I snapped them up, right away. And they almost feel like they're worth their weight in gold these days. And
Exactly.
if your typical consumer is going to experience that, what happens to the goods that are larger, more complex, and not built in the same volumes in the first place?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, in some ways the cybersecurity disruptions are a good example of that as well, because it really caused and will continue to cause companies to have to change their plans. And like and this is where that kind of like iterative introspective thinking can be really helpful, because a year ago most companies did not have on their radar the level of cybersecurity required, or that planning, the kind of pre-planning required to execute a business growth mode that you had, because now no one would have anticipated a year ago that we would have such supply chain errors. Or another thing is just to say out loud is just labor, like people hiring people to do jobs. It's really difficult.
It's also a disruption that is a large array of items. I mean, the IT industry have had issues where, like, say, getting RAM was an issue because of a natural disaster, but that's like one component to a machine. It's not everything at the same time.
Not everything. It's not everything at the same time, and it's not people at the same time. It's not just like the strange kind of like shift in terms of like physical to like kind of. I mean, let's look at this massive change to like this like metaverse thing that's kind of happening in the news right now. So, but anyway, we're getting off topic. I just want to say, it's really important.
I think, and we can sum all of this up. Like right now, we're kind of talking about reactions we had and how we adjusted, right? And it's important to be efficient and reactive, but Valiant, our comfortable posture, what we strive for is proactive with these issues. So we learned from the pain of the last year. We learned to communicate really well with each other, with clients, with prospects, and it gave us some more patience. Patience is always given to you in moments where you didn't really want to be patient. And the existence of vulnerabilities that we didn't understand prior to all this. Right. And I guess what I want to say is, with us looking forward to 2022, how do we turn our reactive stance into a proactive approach and be better prepared for the ones in the future? I'm proud of how we responded to all this stuff, and I'm excited I think there's so much room for innovation at the top of the Valiant pyramid.
It's right. It's right. No, you're not at all. I think the whole industry needs it. It's primed for that shakeup, that change. Yeah. And I think that and more specialized solutions. Things that are really truly for customers that we support, or other MSPs support, or for our customers who they service. And I think it's and once again this is a time of year you should really be thinking about that and establishing what you want to achieve. And and once again, it's always a great time to dust off your 5-year plan or 3-year plan, whatever your long-term goal thinking. Because if you don't, where are you going? Why are you doing this? So exactly. I think we got all over the place here today, but this is
no, it's great. I wanted to bring. I said the innovation thing to poke Matt because I think our next topic is going to be our next sort of area of this thinking is our marketing. And Matt, I mean, you've been at obviously the helm of that. And can I just say, have done an amazing job. But can you speak a little bit about that as far as introspection and your approach to marketing for Valiant?
Absolutely. But first, I got to say, it's definitely not all me. It's everyone in the company. I was going to say it's more Pete than anything else. And now that everyone has seen who he is, now they understand where all the good stuff comes from.
It's kind of like Ratatouille, but it's really more of like a catatouille.
He's on your shoulder.
Boo. I'm going to boo myself.
All right, hold on. I'm laughing, and now the claws are going in.
Yeah.
But yeah, over the past year, I mean, a lot of time has gone into content. A lot of downloadables like the IT budget spreadsheet that we're going to re-promote next week after making a couple of changes for 2021 or 2022 rather. Wow, it's so hard to believe it's almost 2022. It just feels weird to say. But a lot's gone into content, and also some more interacting with the overall MSP community and to just really understand what everyone's up to. What are other people's challenges? What are other people's solutions? How many other people have animals clinging to them like Velcro?
That's been a big part of the pandemic, being around your children and animals. That's
okay, if I'm still, this will be good. Okay. Anyway, but I guess what I wanted to talk about today is sort of, we took a lot of time at the end of last year to build a really great plan for content. We themed out our months. So I think January was like compliance, and February was something else. In the middle of the year, we had that midpoint review where we talk about where are we, with respect to our plans for the year. And I think it's been really helpful. I think it's helped us as much as it's helped everyone else that's taken the content in and given feedback. And I think that some of our success has been related to that group effort, because it doesn't just give us a chance to express our expertise, which can sometimes be difficult in technical fields, but it expresses our personality and who customers are going to be talking to. Who are they going to be meeting with when something's wrong? Who's going to be building those solutions? And I think that understanding the people is so much more important than understanding the technology.
Actually, one other piece of important was prospective staff or people who join our team can watch the live stream and kind of get a sense of what at least who we are,
how we function,
how we want to function.
Valiant is a very different MSP. I've dealt with many over the years, and I'll just be very blunt about it. I can't think of another MSP that I've engaged over the years that I actually want to work for. Everything is so robotic and by the books, and I think you have to have that with respect to managing the technology, but interacting with your customers and helping them figure out where they want to go is a different matter, and that's very much what we get through, I think, with the content efforts.
That's really true. There's a lot. I think there's people out there, and there's definitely some great MSP teams out there that do some unbelievable work. I think that people get stuck in their own kind of head trash. I mean,
absolutely, they get head trash, echo chambers when you're in small groups, kind of supporting each other. But getting back to the content, I think that we created a plan that was almost overly structured, to the point where it led to some inflexibility and maybe some anxiety over whether or not something's going to get done properly because we don't know if we have enough time. And I'm happy to say that we really adjusted our approach to that as the year went on. We were very, I think, month by month having these mini introspectives over what we did and what we're going to do next. Right. And if I were to display the larger content plan document that we put together, you'll see how dense it is for the first 6 months of the year. The first 2 quarters were just jam packed. And then by the third quarter, that's around the time we went to that first, the mid-year introspection. Where are we? And I think that was like, okay, you know what? We can, release the throttle a little bit on this. We don't need to go as hard as we are with the content, because we're not really diving in as much as we'd like to. And slowing down allowed us to do that. And that's when we really started seeing more and more people coming to us with questions and asking, how something works or if we can help them with a problem that they're having. And I think that is a sign of successful marketing.
Yeah.
It's definitely true. It was like, it felt like it was this very rigid, train schedule of getting things out the door, but it had no flexibility in terms of this is what's happening in the world. And we should address that or discuss that, or it becomes really important. And you have to have a plan, but I think that having some operational flexibility, because you just don't know what's going to happen in the future.
Exactly. You can't take something like this and operate like you're on a set of rails. It just doesn't work that way. And I think that that's something that we learned, and I'm excited to, continue our planning for 2020 that we started, because I think it's going to be much more exciting. It's going to be the same concept with the way we block out content, but it's going to be a bit more dynamic. And I think production's going to increase. I don't think production is super important, but we've got the info. Let's make it look really good. I think it's a nice thing to do.
And I think there's some idea, discussing more written content, some more pieces that are useful for
long form content is something that we're looking at.
Exactly.
And I think at the end of the day, with respect to the marketing, I think that I've learned that overstructured plans can often become more of a hindrance than something that's going to drive you to get things done. Right. And, and having healthy kind of like collaboration efforts taking
Yes.
place, whether it's between team members or even other companies that, you know, are similar but you don't really consider to be competition, can be really healthy. It helps you figure out opportunities and ideas that you have never have considered. And I think the third thing is that listening is an underrated skill. And I think that a lot of what we've done recently is a result of being able to just stop talking and really start listening to other people.
Right.
I mean, a
And
big part of our sales process and even dealing with our clients is just like, I mean, we actually provide solutions, but I
Mhm.
think they like interacting with us as well because people want to feel heard. IT can be dry, but also incredibly vulnerable. And I think people just want to feel heard. And I think
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
what
It
we're
makes a
putting
huge
forward.
difference. I mean, like even tomorrow morning, I'm having like a breakfast meeting with this guy, Tim Golden, who has an MSP in New England and does a lot of work around compliance. But you know, he does more for government contracts and like medical facilities. So it's not the same kind of targets we have. And I find that whenever we have a conversation, we throw a couple of ideas out, we get to see them through each other's lenses, learn
Yeah.
something new, and then find a better way to communicate that to our audience. And it's
Yeah.
just this it's a mutually beneficial activity. That's also a lot of fun to do. I think
I love
it's just
that.
healthy.
I'm a huge fan of peer group
Yeah.
interaction. I think that's the best way. I mean, it's one of the best ways to learn. Um, and the idea is you learn what's out there, and then
Yeah.
you can introspectively review it
Yeah.
yourself
Exactly.
and have your own flavor of it and put your own dynamic, experience into it. And I think that's, we work with a lot of PR and advertising, a lot of creative folks, and they're all so vastly different from each other, even though they have the same basic business.
Mhm.
It's really interesting to me because that is actually one of the most interesting parts of it, because they all do such unique things for their
Yeah.
clients.
Yeah.
And I think that is a really, I think that's a really good similar to MSPs. We all have, on the surface, it's all like IT infrastructure. Okay, great, but there's some really unique challenges in each segment. If you work in finance or insurance,
Mhm.
medical, law
Mhm.
enforcement,
Very, very wildly different needs above a
wildly
baseline.
different. Some you hear some people say IT is IT, but I'm like, it's not really true. I think there's like there's the, I mean, you could theoretically boil it down to 80-20, maybe, a Pareto analysis, but even then, there's just different attitudes towards it, so you have to take that into
Even just
account.
different personalities tend to, you know, gather in different industries. You know, it's you're not just working with different needs, you're working with completely different personalities and different
Right.
viewpoints on where technology sits within the value within a company.
Correct.
And I think that means that there's a different level of effort that goes into kind of bringing out the value in what's delivered.
Yeah.
And
So
sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's difficult, but we figure out a way to do it, and it's good. So yeah, that's on the marketing side, but I don't know. I'm caffeinated and I'm very excited to get started in 2022 because the past couple of years have been amazing for us as growth, and it's also been something new. Valiant didn't have a traditional marketing department until the developer / engineer guy decided to open his mouth.
So how would I take a crack at it?
I feel very lucky because I think I started when you were getting started with the marketing, and I think I benefit. I don't know. You've helped my job so much. I just want to say that.
That's good. It's been great. It's good seeing, and I think this big takeaway is
Yeah.
that you really need to look at where you were to know where you're going. To say
Yeah.
that as the title of this, but like, I think that if you don't look backwards a little bit, you're just going to keep repeating the same things over and over and over again. And the thing I see a lot at times, and this is something that I'm very actively trying to combat, is you see plans 5 years ago and they say the same things that
Yeah.
you're talking about today, and you're like, well, why am I not? What has prevented me from achieving those, or is that even a really smart thing to talk about any longer? And you'll see. I mean, it's a fraud thing. Was you hear so many people like be it like I'm going to exercise more. I find that's one of the ones every now we're coming up a new year, people talk about New Year's resolutions, and sometimes you have to be introspective enough to say, am I really going to do that? Does that make sense for me personally, and did you apply the business rules? So, and I think that you said something really important earlier, Megan, about being honest with yourself. Like, it's like we're gonna have 100% growth this year. Could you even remotely do that?
No, it's more like
it
I'm going to get an exercise bike, and the extent of my activity with it is going to be building it in the basement
or hanging my clothes on it to dry.
Well, I on that note, because George, you and I were talking about, I think there's extremes people deal with when they want to fix things or they want to, especially New Year's mindset, where it can be too extreme. So you disappoint easily, right? Like it's easy to, and I deal with this. And it's more about being honest with yourself, but then being like, let's do 10. My big thing is sometimes I'll say do 10% better today.
Well, iterative improvement.
Yes.
Right?
Always. I didn't even know I was doing that. Wow.
And I think the other thing that's really important for this introspective, stop for a second and look at what you have achieved.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I think that's a very, very powerful tool, because when you're in the moment and you kind of have a little bit of narrow vision, tunnel vision, you can't see anything, and you just as I said, preparing for our planning for next year. I was just really looking at like certain things that we've done, I'm disappointed we didn't get I'm disappointed we didn't get our data commerce implemented this year. Same time, we implemented so many other really great solutions, products. Worked with some really amazing clients, did some really cool things. So it's like it's easy to be negative.
But you got to remember that it's net positive when you look back. I think that, like, for example, maybe the data solution can get put in, and it's still here and it'll happen in the future. But think about how much the company culture has matured and evolved over the past year.
Right.
The way we approach things, the way that we work together. It just, everything continues to improve. And I think that it's so important to remember those things. I mean, like, I know that I was frustrated in a conversation we were having a couple of weeks ago, and you're just like, hold on, stop talking for a minute. We did X, Y, Z, A, B, C. I was waiting for you to get into like the Greek alphabet because you ran out of like Latin characters, and it was like, no, you're right, okay. And it's nice to have that moment, because if it's true, you really kind of get motivated by realizing how much has been done and how focused you've been that you've kind of forgotten you've accomplished those other things.
I think for me, remembering that it's important. Don't let it be foster complacency, but for me, knowing that usually I'll get overwhelmed, but if it's like, if I know I've grown in the past, I know I can continue to grow. Like,
correct.
That's the best evidence for my success.
Correct. And the growth, I feel like the growth you might have had at one point in your life or one point of your become existence, whatever is different than what you might have at a different point. And you have to kind of always be adjusting.
You got to adjust. It's like adjusting for inflation,
Exactly. Nothing is set in stone. Nothing's locked in. It's fluid. And maybe it's just a symptom of age, or you just kind of be more mature. You don't have that rigidity, and you're like, okay, I can see it. And I think being rigid is useful. Once again, you have to be able to switch your mindsets, and I think that's a really powerful tool to be able to change your mindset from a very rigid, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, this is the timetable we're going to do it, against the more like fluid, like, okay, we're gonna this is our general direction. And I think, and not to bring it back to like a history thing, but it's like, the classic, no plan survives, von Clausewitz, no plan survives contact with the enemy. And it's really true, because you can have the greatest plan in the world, you have to have operational flexibility in everything you do, because nothing is going to be, your assumptions are just that, they're assumptions.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? They put rubber or another compound joint in between two separate pieces of concrete, so it's functional. I mean,
right.
The concrete is rigid and it's set in place, but you've got that kind of buffer zone in the middle, and I think that's the flexibility you need for it to continue existing.
It's called an expansion joint.
Thank you.
Ooh, on that metaphor, I actually love that, an expansion joint. Structure, but flexibility. Guys, it's about 11, so I wanted to wrap it up, but I know it flew by. I found this topic like personally very like, I feel like I was reviewing my own personal life too with all of these principles. So thank you guys so much for talking about this today. Great topic, Matt, and George for mentioning in a meeting and inspiring it. So just a quick preview for our next stream, IT budgeting basics. I feel like that's
a good one.
it's a good one. I think it's something that is an obstacle for a lot of people when it comes to their IT. So let's just talk about it. Let's get it all out. We're very experienced in it.
First-hand, third-hand experience. There's plenty to share, and I do want us to go over the, like I said, the spreadsheet template before next week, so we can have a revamped version, because people have been downloading it. It was downloaded like 20 times last night alone, like overnight. I woke up and saw the notifications.
That's how many years.
Like it's November. Yeah. I have to.
Let's if we can do something to make it a little bit more flexible for this year, or get a little bit more information in there as far as even like line items go, to help people think about needs that they may not consider. We're going to get that in, and then we're going to make sure that everyone has a link to the free download next week.
It's a super powerful tool. Even we do it quite a bit, and as you start doing it, you start unpacking an environment, and you'll learn so much about it so quickly. Just looking at just looking at the bills, and the dollars. Where's the money go?
I had a boss. I'm just going to give him the shout out, Gary Giscombe. He was at IBM for many years before he was the CFO of the nonprofit that I worked at, and I think the most important thing he ever told me, other than "kid, it's ready for you to get a better job," was, accounting is nothing but telling a story through numbers. And I right? It's stuck with me for the past 20 years. He said that, and I was just like, okay. And that was the first time I ever had to put together an IT budget. I sat down with him. So, I want to get maybe some introspective notes together for next week about sort of some of the ideas that I learned and some of what we do at Valiant, and put the two of them together and really give people some great advice and starting points into how to really build an effective budget for the upcoming year.
Awesome.
Exactly. So please, everyone, join us next week for that. We're excited about that topic as well. And if you enjoyed our stream today, please hit that thumbs up button. If you have any questions, like I said before, send it to us. We will address it. We will talk to you. And subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with our live streams and other content. We've got a lot of other content, good how-to videos.
We've got a whole bunch of explainer videos coming out that we're working on.
We really love helping you with your IT. Right.
We're really excited about the explainer videos. There's some cool stuff we're going to do, I think, with that. That's going to be super helpful. Like this is talking. I've talked to a lot of prospects and a lot of business owners. This is like buying something you have no idea what you're looking at in any way, shape, or form. It's the most complex purchase you can have. So it's very strange. With that, I'm going to end up. Matt's gone. He's done. So Megan, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to end the stream. So thanks.
Hold on. Are you going to end it, or you want me to end it?
I got it.
Wait, are you going to end the stream, or are you going to hit the end sequence to play the credits? You going to roll the beautiful bean footage?
I know. I'm going to let you take care of it then. You need to show me.
All right, folks. Have a good one. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.